Right, 11 October 2024, and as usual, 5 a.m. I give you the latest trending news on Zimbabwe. And today I'm going to be continuing with the factional fighting that is taking place in ZANU-PF. And these are the last 2 critical weeks as we move towards the ZANU-PF Annual People's Conference. And you're going to see a lot taking place in these next few days leading up to that conference. And as I said, I'm anticipating that something big is going to happen before the 27th of October, and eventually Mnangagwa leaving office before the end of December 2024. So let's start with what my sources have said about Tatenda Mavetera, who was now moving around with Mnangagwa almost everywhere. Where Mnangagwa went this year, in the beginning of this year, you could see Tatenda Mavetera with Mnangagwa. However, what has happened is that recently, Tatenda Mavetera is no longer moving around in the entourage of Mnangagwa. She is now at the sidelines. And it has now been revealed to me by my sources that Mnangagwa is very suspicious of Tatenda Mavetera, and he believes that she's being used by Chiwenga to go and do his groundwork. So Tatenda Mavetera doing groundwork for Chiwenga, and sources telling Mnangagwa that this is what is happening, and therefore you don't see her anymore moving around with Mnangagwa. You remember that earlier this year, she even traveled with Mnangagwa and also with Wicknell when they traveled out of Zimbabwe. And what has happened is that a lot of officials within ZANU-PF are being forced to choose a side. Which side are you taking? And if you choose the wrong side, you're going to fall by the wayside. So people who go with Chiwenga are being pushed out from Mnangagwa's circle, and eventually you're going to see who is who. People are going to have to choose sides, and Chiwenga himself, he has to protect these people. Because what happens is once you're identified as a Chiwenga supporter, then you're in trouble. And Chiwenga needs to make sure that these people get protection. And I don't know how he's going to do it. So this is just the update that I have on why Tatenda Mavetera is no longer moving around with Mnangagwa. Apparently, she has been identified as the person who's doing groundwork for Chiwenga and moving around in various places, doing groundwork, pretending to be doing something else while actually working for Chiwenga. Now, let's quickly look at today's events. Let's go to Mozambique. And in Mozambique, I've been talking to the guys from the party here of candidate Venancio Mondlane. And yesterday was quite hectic. There was a lot of tear gas being shot around. I've got video of young people starting to get impatient as the results are being counted. But candidate Venancio Mondlane doing very, very well in Mozambique, more than what is expected. However, I do not know what is going to happen overall in Mozambique in terms of where exactly is the strength of Frelimo right now. But I know that in the cities and in most of the areas where counting has taken place, Venancio Mondlane has done very, very well. Former banker and a hope for the youngsters in Mozambique. He is doing very, very well. And as I said, I will try to get hold of him and bring him here and talk to him sometime today. So amazing stuff happening in Mozambique. And I like Mozambique because there is a lot of promise in Mozambique. The country is very rich. All you need is a president that is very good with security and someone who can develop that huge, massive country. And Mozambique is going to do very, very well. Then we had the event here, US Ambassador Pamela Tremont. So people normally call it Ambassador Pamela M. Tremont. She was officiating at an event at Rubweruchena irrigation scheme where Takunda Care and USAID have launched a number of boreholes. I think it's about 20 boreholes, which are solar powered. And this is going to benefit a lot of young people in the district of Chiwi. So you can see some of the beneficiaries here. So ever since she came, the ambassador of the United States in Zimbabwe has done a lot of work, and she's moving around in the communities. And I'll try to get the speech that she issued here so that you can hear what she was saying. But she did have a groundbreaking ceremony here, and also assisted with talking to the youngsters who are going to benefit from this project. And whilst talking about youngsters, there is a massive crisis in South Africa. You remember that there were four children who were confirmed dead this week. The children are on the screen here. And it has now been confirmed that these children ate poison, rat poison. So this is the rat poison that is being sold in South Africa. If you see this rat poison, don't buy it. It's very dangerous. It's called Hale Pirimi, and it's being sold illegally in the high density suburbs. This is what killed the children, and it is not any food that they ate. So it's not clear where they ate this Hale Pirimi poison. Normally people put it in certain places, and I think children do pick it, or it eventually gets into or it contaminates other substances. So this is what has been confirmed as having killed these children. However, yesterday 74 children or learners between the age of 17 and 20 students at various schools who are attending a matric camp at Foshville Secondary School were rushed to hospital suspected of food poisoning. So there is a lot of fear among people about food poisoning because you don't know what is causing this poisoning. And there was a panic with these 74 children or female students being sent to hospital at the same time. So you can imagine 74 poisoned people in one place going to get treatment. Must have been a massive panic. And then we have a big story here regarding the passport situation. The people who have been selling passports in Zimbabwe have been identified. And these people are from the Registrar General's office and also from a company, a Lithuanian company that is involved with passports in Zimbabwe. So this Lithuanian company is called Garsu Pasaulis, and it is responsible for printing passports in Zimbabwe. And the two that you see on the screen, that is Tapiwanashe Hove and Takunda Makuku, are actually currently right now in custody on top of all the other people that have been arrested. These are the people who are actually responsible for printing and quality control. So there was a total failure of controls from the whole system. The whole system at the Registrar General's office has been contaminated, including the foreign company that is involved in printing passports. And the Zimbabwean passport is now a rag worth nothing because of Mnangagwa and the people that work with him. You go to the passport office, people are standing around in the corridors selling passports. And this is bad for the passport. Our passport has no value, and no one wants to deal with us because of this poor handling of documents. The Zimbabwe birth certificate, Zimbabwe ID, Zimbabwe passport, now worthless because of this behavior under Mnangagwa. Then let's go to events. We've got a massive event that is taking place here. And this is the Ideas Festival. And it's going to be run by Trevor Ngobe's newspapers. You can clearly see that we have a line up here of some of the big hitters. But my two favorite is Dr. James Manyika, Vice President of Google and Alphabet Research, Technology and Society, and Dr. Nkosana Moyo Mines, Founder and Executive Chairman. So Mandela Institute, that is Dr. Nkosana Moyo over there. You also have Precious Nika. I think she was fired at Lafarge. I covered that a lot. And we've got, who else do we have here? Chad Mako. Is Chad Mako the same as Plot Mako? I don't know, but he's over there. And we've got Dr. Olivia Mchena was removed from the sanctions. We've got, who else do we have here who is of interest to me that I've talked about? We've got Divine Kukula, the richest woman in Zimbabwe. So we've got top big hitters over there. Check it out. And if you can afford thousands and thousands, you can go and attend. Why I'm saying thousands and thousands, there is a conference of NGOs in Kariba. That conference is charging 1,000, let's see how much they're charging here. 1,265 US dollars for you to attend this conference. This is an NGO conference, crazy stuff happening in Zimbabwe. They don't know what $1,000 is. Like we can buy a nice car, but someone is charging that for, I think, for a one-day conference. But the Zimbabwe for you, things cost a different amount in our country. Then what else do we have? We've got the Daisy Mutukudzi accident, very sad accident. But I've advised you what happened in the Apostolic Faith churches. They have said that whoever has got a car from Wiknochiva must take it back because they are all going to be involved in accidents. I've said in the past, and the prophets, I've talked to them myself. They've advised all those people who have taken anything from Wiknochiva to take it back because he was apparently initiated into the dark, the world of evil by Rick Ross. I don't know where they got the name Rick Ross, but that's what they said. Then in Nigeria, Chidima Adesina has been appointed as an ambassador, a brand ambassador for a Nigerian state, doing very well. She has suffered a lot under the hands of trolls, and I hope that she manages to do well over there in Nigeria, and also get herself a husband from Nigeria. You know how it is with our Nigerian brothers. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover today. Let's go to the newspapers and see if there's anything in here. I want to look at the Herald newspaper very quickly, and then I'll wrap this up, and I'll be back in the evening at 9:10 if there's anything of interest. So let's go through this newspaper together, the Herald newspaper. Right, for the first time, the Herald newspaper has got a mistake on the front page. Minerals must benefit all, and the mistake is that there's no space between minerals and musts. So first time ever since I've started reading the Herald, I've seen a mistake in the Herald newspaper. And then we have dollarization of the economy will be catastrophic. So let me handle this with care. I want you guys to understand what is going to happen. The end of Mnangagwa is coming. So Mnangagwa is going to end. He is not going to make it up to the end of December. That is because there is what we call a policy inconsistency or a disconnect between the Reserve Bank and the Minister of Finance. Mnangagwa is currently listening to the Reserve Bank and is ignoring the Minister of Finance. Why are we back to talking about dollarization? It's because the ZIG has failed. So I want to show you what the problem is. So let's go to John Mshayaban. And this is what he said yesterday.
As of yesterday, total deposits in this whole market were 10.7 billion ZIG. I'm talking of ZIG deposits. I'm not talking of US dollar deposits. Also, as of yesterday, our reserves in the form of foreign currency that we have in our account at FedRes, in the form of gold that we have in the vaults, and in the form of other precious metal, were 450 million US dollars. Now, let's do the maths. You divide 450 million US dollars into 10.7 billion ZIG, you get 23.7. There is a difference between backing a currency with gold and linking a currency to the price of gold.
Right. So I think you can clearly see what the problem is. John Mshayaban is not a central banker. He does not understand how transactions work. So let me try to unpack what he said. He said he's got 450 million in reserves. including gold and minerals and cash. And then he's got 10 billion in zinc. So he just took the gold and the minerals and the cash and he divided it into the 10 billion zinc. Does that make sense to you? How do you divide gold into a transaction, a currency? Do you transact with an asset? So they don't understand that you don't transact with an asset and you cannot liquidate the gold and then immediately go and take the zinc and change it at 23. He said the rate is 23. So they don't understand. They also don't understand about fraud or fake zinc. Fake zinc is what the banks are dumping into the market. And banks in Zimbabwe are dumping fake zinc. And I've been telling you, they don't understand it. He doesn't understand the total amount of money in the economy. So the solution is to get rid of the zinc. The zinc is fake. It's not money. No one uses it for anything. So it's simple. And then at the Minister of Finance, I think Kuda is much closer to understanding the situation. That the zinc, currently as it stands, it's worth nothing. And I want to replay that thing that I played yesterday.
Policy, Mr. Speaker, sir, we are following a free market exchange rate. Now, the problem that is emanating, Mr. Speaker, sir, as alluded to by the honorable member, is that there is a growing discrepancy between the interbank or the official market exchange rate and what would be the parallel market exchange rate, which then puts pressure on the retailers. I would say government is probably the biggest loser when there's a discrepancy between the exchange rates. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this...
Right, so I think I want us to just summarize what is happening here. Kuda Mnangagwa and the guys in the Ministry of Finance are focused on transaction. How do you transact? Why money moves from retailer to wholesaler to the final buyer and consumer. Whereas John Mshawan is focused on reserves and how much the exchange should be, the exchange rate should be, or the ideal situation. That is where the disconnect is. John Mshawan is not on the ground. He's talking theoretical things. Whereas the guys in the Ministry of Finance are talking what is happening on the ground. How do you transact? Why does the exchange rate move the way it is moving? And that disconnect is what is going to cause a total collapse and failure to act. Because Mnangagwa is being told one thing on the left and is being told one thing on the right. The solution is simple. Abandon the zinc. Take that thing and scrap it and start with the dollar. Again, nothing else. And that is the way to get out of this particular problem that we have. And then sort out production. How do you sort out production? You sort out production by doing what I suggested yesterday. Create a new city, planned city in Harare, for example. I've already told you that we need a planned city in Victoria Falls, a planned city for the military, and 2 houses for each soldier, all those things that I've been talking about. Then you put high-speed rail. From Harare, you planned city, to Victoria Falls, you planned city. So your money actually does something. At the moment, money in Zimbabwe is doing nothing. So do you know what the GDP is? Do the guys at the RBZ know what the GDP is made up of? Those are the things that we're talking about. When you talk of GDP, you talk of transaction, you talk about exchange rate. Those things need to be connected. Then you have production. At the moment, there's no production. That is why you have to raid shops that are importing flour. You're raiding them because your cost of production is too high. Your own dairy board is leaving the country. And someone else is going to buy milk in South Africa because it's cheaper to produce milk in South Africa than in Zimbabwe. So eventually, your companies are going to have to go outside the country to produce there so that they can import back into your country. There is a problem, and that problem cannot be solved with the way of thinking that you have in the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank currently the biggest problem, but they've got the ear of Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa does not understand economics, and he's going to continue until he eventually leaves office. Mnangagwa is going to leave before the end of 3 months. There is no way this economy is going to survive. And I've seen this many, many times before. So you can see that I don't even hesitate when I'm talking about this. You can take this to the bank. This thing that I'm telling you about, that in 3 months, Mnangagwa will be out of office. I've said to you that the ZIG is going to be 0 by December, and we're going there. Don't even doubt it. Don't doubt what I'm saying right now. That ZIG is worth nothing. It doesn't matter how much reserves, whatever is got. 400 million is an embarrassment for a country. There are people, I know people with 400 million in the bank account, one person, and the whole country is talking about 400 million. Quite embarrassing. Right, I want to now go to, let's look at Chronicle newspaper. The guys in Blawayo, David quoted, I feel very sad what is done to reappoint the town clerk. He's been reinforced by Mnangagwa to do that. You remember what I said about that Chinese company that is setting up a cement plant in Bulawayo? That idea came with Dube, and they've reappointed him as the town clerk of Bulawayo. That is an embarrassment. That man is not a town clerk. And eventually you're going to see, when you have a new town clerk, then you're going to understand. So what is the interesting story here? The interesting story here is obviously Tatenda Mavetera was the used it yesterday. You can go check it out on her page. I've already told you that she's not moving around Mnangagwa anymore. She was also at the Tel1 event. Is it Tel1 or Net1 event? And then another story here, which is interesting, is Kusile. So that's Binga RDC. What 10? There's going to be an election over there, and that is going to be on the 30th of November. So I'm going to put this up on Gambakwe. The ZEC has announced that it's going to be an election, a by-election, on the 30th of November in Bindura. So I hope that the guys from Chamisa's party are watching this and they make sure that they do the necessary to win. I don't know if it makes any sense, but just for the purpose of statistics, we need to make sure that Chamisa's party wins. The independents, everyone is currently on the run, and Shibaya is in jail, so no one out there to campaign. And if you're a candidate over here, do whatever you need to do. So check it out. That is the 30th of November, 2024, by-election announcement by ZEC. So I'll put this up on Gambakwe. And what else do we have here? Warriors have beaten Namibia 1-0 in South Africa in front of no one. There was no one in that stadium. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover here. Let's see if in H Metro there's anything of interest. H Metro, the TMZ of Zimbabwe, one of the most interesting newspapers for me. Every day I need to read this newspaper, TMZ of Zimbabwe. They're talking about the death of Chinimbi, and they are saying if he was going to turn 40 this year. They're also saying that there's a woman in Harare who's got 2 husbands staying in the same bedroom. You can go check it out over there in the H Metro newspaper. So I think I've covered everything. Now let's recap what I've said. I've said that my sources have revealed that Tatenda Mavetera and Mnangagwa have fallen out over revelations that Tatenda has been working for Chiwenga, and she has been doing his runs, or she's been running for him, which has resulted in him leaving her out of all his functions. So you don't see her walking around with Mnangagwa anymore. So the honeymoon is over between Tatenda Mavetera and Mnangagwa, and everyone who doesn't choose the side. Okay, everyone has to choose the side. This is what is happening right now. Everyone in ZANU-PF is choosing a side, and you're going to see more and more of that happening. So I'll be back later. I will try to get hold of Mozambican presidential candidate Mondlane. That is one of the most popular candidates, Venancio Mondlane. I've been talking to his team yesterday. So let's see how he's doing. My understanding is that he's doing very, very well. And there is a big likelihood that he's going to win. So we might be lucky today to talk to him as soon as his team wakes up. They've been very busy overnight. He is the Chamisa of Mozambique. but he's facing the godfather of rigging, Frelimo or Frelimo. Those guys are the godfathers of rigging. So let's see if they manage to keep winning the way they've been winning. They've done very well in Sofala. They've also done very well in Chimoyo. I do not know what is going to happen, but this is the most popular candidate in Mozambique right now, in the Mozambican election. But because of the language barrier, it's very difficult for us to see what is happening over there. And I'm not on the ground to see what is happening. But my understanding is that yesterday already, tear gas was being fired. Young people are getting impatient. And I've got some footage of young people getting tear gas fired. But obviously I can't share it because I cannot verify what this is all about, what this footage is about. So very interesting. Mozambique is what we're watching today. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And I'll see you again today, 10 minutes past 9, as I give you the end of day updates. Thank you very much.